Glock is a somewhat well-known name in the trap world, the southern hip-hop genre, and he dropped this mixtape earlier in the year, like January, end of January I think it was. Completely didn't know anything about it, but once again it's become one of those projects that I've stumbled upon later on in the year, and there's no cut-off date when you got to review things. If you find something months down the line, review it. And while there hasn't been a great deal of this style of music that I've stumbled upon recently that I've found to be great, I did like the Young Nudie album earlier in the year. I think that's been pretty replayable for me as the years gone by, and some of his older projects too I think have been really good to listen to quite recently. So I thought this Key Glock project was worth reviewing because I find it quite addictive. This is an incredibly fun little listen. It's related to Young Dolph. They are cousins, so if you've ever listened to anything from Young Dolph, you might notice some similarities. I can see that. I brought up Young Nudie there. There's kind of that same energy that Young Nudie brings to the table too. Some Waka Flocka Flame, of course, who was already so influential to the genre in the early 2010s that he's kind of just bled into so many artists over time just naturally. And you could definitely argue that there's so little original going on here that it becomes incredibly generic, but I would argue against that because I just find what Key Glock brings to the table here to be so mindlessly fun that it kind of outweighs any of the negatives that you could bring to the table when talking about this album. These grimy as hell beats that are very much inspired by like Memphis rap as well as trap. His gruff as hell voice that fits the beats so perfectly. He's really smooth at times, but he's also like really hard as fuck. The amount of energy he brings, the way he flows over these beats, my god, I find it hard to say no to so much of this. Second track on the album being one of the best tracks here, and probably going to end up being one of the biggest trap bangers of the year that, you know, not enough people have been talking about, to be honest. It is just so freaking hype. Obviously the lyrics, you know, being about money and stuff, look, there's nothing going on here. You're not going to get anything out of this, but the way he's riding this beat, man, is just so... I think my favorite track here is definitely Ooh, though. The way he's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh. It's like watching a Big Quint video, honestly. Like, he just sounds like he's having so much fun, and you know, when artists do that, you know, you can kind of join along in the fun and kind of just forget everything around you because it just is so exciting to listen to. The catchy as hell hook that he brings on I'm Just Saying, I think this was one of the singles. Again, one of the highlights for me. The Flyest, highest, coolest, smoothest track, which essentially describes everything about this album, to be honest. He is gliding on this beat. Oh, his flows are just so easy. Oh, I just listening to this album just makes me realize, like, it's been so long since there's been an artist that's massively impressed me in this genre. Like, a lot of it, yeah, you know, you get the occasional single that breaks into the charts. You know, you get artists that break free and have some good tracks, but just like listening to these songs back to back and not really wanting to skip anything, not really getting bored throughout the album, like, I just find it to be incredibly impressive and just kind of reminds me of how good this genre can be at its best. And yeah, I think Key Glock is bringing one of the better albums in this style. Again, I've heard in quite some time. Yeah, there's like Amen, which isn't particularly that exciting. I think this is one of his more staler tracks on the whole thing, to be honest. And then Crash, where his voice is kind of like modulated a little bit. He sounds a bit annoying on this one, but like, aside from that, like, there's a lot of tracks on this thing, and really impressive how consistent it is. Lyrically, again, I can't really say a lot here, but you know, there's a few one-liners that stick out in a pretty poor way, especially on Fuck All That, which is one of the better tracks, but there were a few lines that he threw out there that were just a bit like, come on. But you can certainly overlook some of the bad ones. I mean, come on, like, how many bad lines does Future have? And even on some of his best projects, the bad lines don't exactly outweigh how good some of his albums are. And same with like Flockavelli, there's a lot of bad lines on that. Even Waka Flocka Flame looks back at his music and thinks a lot of it's bad. There was an interview recently, but like, I don't know, when it sounds as good, I can kind of overlook some of the bad lyrics. So yeah, I think this is pretty great. Like, there is a few problems with the album, of course, I've brought up already, but there's not a lot. Like, I think Key Glock should be getting way more way more attention than he's getting. Like, you know, when you see some of the artists that get mainstream and have hit after hit, and you just can't really fathom what it is that they bring to the table, and then you find someone like Key Glock, and you know, every track near enough on an album is a hit, I just kind of get confused. Why is this not being talked about as much as it is? I don't know. But this is why I like to dig deeper, look around, see if I can find some artists that I think are worth my time, and Key Glock was certainly one of them. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 on this. Definitely wondering where he's going to go from here. He could get pretty old fast. Maybe, you know, he doesn't bring enough versatility. But hey, we'll see, because he's had a few projects already and I haven't heard all of them. So maybe if I go back and see if I can find even more gems in those mixtapes too, who knows. But I really like this. It's a lot of fun. It's just fun. You know, when music's just fun, you can't really say a lot in a review. It's just like, yeah, it is what it is. I have fun listening to this. I dance around, I bounce up and down. It is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on this if you've heard it already. It has been out quite a while, but not really been talked about much, like I already said. But I think if you've got some interest in trap and southern hip hop and some like Memphis hip hop ish elements too, I couldn't imagine why you wouldn't check this out. Especially, you know, names like Denzel Curry are getting thrown around all the time. We're seeing DaBaby, who's huge as well. Not exactly the same as those artists, but you know what I mean. Like, they've got that hype energy. They've got, you know, a lot of charisma and personality thriving through their music. And I just think this Key Glock is kind of replacing those artists for me, because currently I'm not really seeing what they're bringing to the table that's so exciting. But Key Glock here, I think, is bringing a lot. So thank you for watching my review. Let me know your thoughts on this mixtape. Have a good day and goodbye.